Good morning, good morning. It is Friday the 21st of June 2024. It is the summer solstice today. Welcome to Morning Brew on Labour Social. 13 days. Sorry, Politics Social. Still getting used to that. 13 days to the election. The election that looks like it is going to be the most catastrophic election of all time for the Conservative Party. I was reading an article in the Financial Times this morning, which was quite interesting. On their website. That was the fact that this is going to be the most unfair election of all time, because it looks like Starmer's going to get around 450 seats, right? 450 seats of less of a vote share than Jeremy Corbyn got in 2019. Yeah, and also the Lib Dems might be the official opposition on fewer votes than Labour, the Conservatives, and Reform. Because we have a really, really, really messed up voting system in this country of first past the post. And unless we vote tactically, there's no other way to sort of game the system here. Because you can't vote for the party that you want. Instead of having alternative votes where you put like 1, 2, 3, so you can number 1, count bin face, number 2, the Greens, number 3, Labour, and then you have runoffs until you get to a 50-50 situation where over 50% of the people who bothered to vote said that, they'll hold their nose, you might be their third or fourth choice, whatever, but at least they voted for you. But in the way that it's set up at the moment, no. But hopefully, and here's the hope, right? This is where we need the right coming in on the whole, let's bring in a fairer system of elections, because they're going to look at this and go, oh my God, we got absolutely decimated, beyond decimation, and there's nothing we can do about it. And it's because of the first past the post system. Otherwise, Labour wouldn't get such a massive landslide. It's a messed up system. We need to fix it. But before we get to that, we have to get Labour into power. And people are talking about them getting a super majority. Can I be really clear on one thing, right? It doesn't matter if Labour have a majority of 3 or a majority of 300. They don't have a super majority. They can do everything that they want to do. That includes changing the constitution. There are some countries where they literally have a thing in their system where you can change the constitution, but only with 2/3 of the votes in the Senate. Or their parliament or the House of Representatives or whatever, 2/3 majority, right? So if one party had 2/3, then they would have a super majority and they could change the constitution. In the UK, we have an unwritten constitution, an uncodified constitution that's based on, I don't know, natural law or something. It's like going back way back in the annals of time, to literally time immemorial, literally. And so if you have a majority of 1 in the House of Commons, you can change the British Constitution. That's the system we've got set up. So it makes no difference at all if you have an overwhelming majority or just a slender majority. You will still get your Brexit through. With 52% of the vote, 51.9% of the vote, you will get your Brexit through. Don't worry, Timothy. You'll get it through. You've got more than 50. That's our system. That's that's the way it works. Thank you very much to Alec Barrett there for the £5 super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Worst defeat for the Tories since the War of the Austrian Succession. That is such a random, wonderful, historical factoid in there. I love it. Thank you very much. No such thing as a supermajority in UK Parliament, says Patrick. 3 exclamation marks, all written in capital letters. Yeah, I know. They're just saying it to scare us. But let's talk about. I'll say hello to everyone first, actually. Marshall's in there with his arms up in the air, like he just don't care. We've got City Life 2050. We've got Christine Cash. We've got Cathal. We've got David in the chat. We've got Gary and Glenn and Dave Skelly. Hello, Dave. We've got 31 Blaze. We've got Jup James. Oh, we've got so many people. We've got Sarah Davis, who gave a super chat before we started to say, I'm busy today, but I'll have to watch later. So that's cool. But I'll just give you a super chat now. This is for Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. You're very kind. When you're watching this on catch-up, we were lucky it was that close. And Colin says, nice of the Mail to call star Makia. By the way, Mail's headline isn't the gotcha they think it is. Yes, I know. Well, we'll come to that. I've got the papers on my other screen just here, so I will bring them up. I will bring them up momentarily. But yeah, I just want to start by saying that I watched Question Time last night. Obviously, we had a watch party. And oh my giddy aunt. Like, it started off quite boring. First of all, we had the leader of the Lib Dems, Ed Davey, who was lovely. I mean, he just seemed a nice guy. Before this election happened, I didn't really know much about him. I hadn't really heard him do any speeches or be interviewed very much. So it's nice that we got to know the Lib Dem leader, and he's put himself forward a lot better than Joe Swinston, the previous leader going into an election, who was absolutely dire. I saw Joe Swinston do a debate against Angela Rayner for Channel 4. They filmed it in Leeds that I went down to. And it was like, she was a bit full of herself. She was a bit like, head girl. She was in the same way that Sunak comes across as head boy, but she came across as head girl. So I think that Ed Davey is more personable. And someone in the audience asked him, how can we take him seriously when he's doing all these daft stunts? And as we said last night, someone said in the chat, and I was saying it as well, like, if they hadn't done those stunts, you wouldn't be talking about what they're doing. You wouldn't be talking about the sewage in Lake Windermere or the need for carers or the need for children to be looked after who are living in poverty because of the Tory sadism that we've experienced over the last 14 years. So yeah, no, I think he did a pretty good job. It was, yeah. And again, let's go back to this whole thing. Let's make politics boring again. It shouldn't be exciting. It shouldn't be WWE wrestling. It's not. It's politics. It's like working for a company and complaining that the people in charge of the company, in charge of running this logistics company for which you work, don't party hard enough. And you're like, or don't tell enough jokes. You're like, what the hell has that got to do with running a logistics company? I just want someone competent. That's what I want. Someone competent who can do the job, which Sunak can't. We'll come to that in a moment after Johnny Copperhead has given £2 super chat. Thank you. What's the Australian succession? What's the Australian succession? Succession. I don't know. Well, it could be the TV show Succession, which is obviously based on the Australian Rupert Murdoch. It could be the fact that the Queen of Denmark is now an Australian. They have an Australian Queen in Denmark. Quite a funny story there. Not a funny story. Nice story. She met the Crown Prince. Well, they were out nightclubbing in Sydney. Basically, there was a night that he wanted to get into, and he couldn't get into it because he didn't have the VIP tickets or whatever, and her and her mates could get them in. So she got this crazy Danish guy, into this nightclub so they could have a party. And then found out later he was the guy first in line to the Danish throne. Funny how things turn out. But, if someone says, hey, can I come into this club with you? And you never know what will happen. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much. It's no coincidence. Sunak backs continuing to call Badgers, then he has the most humiliating public appearance. All hail the Badgers. Exactly. That's what I say as well. Badger, Badger, Badger. Right. So, yeah, next up was John Swinney. And he is the leader of the SNP. Another one after Humza Yousaf resigned, and before that, after Nicola Sturgeon resigned, and after Alex Salmond resigned. So yeah, the SNP have had a bit of a rough time of it in recent years. A lot of unforced errors, a lot of own goals, I've got to say. And I don't think John Swinney went down particularly well with the audience, but then it wasn't a Scottish audience. It was filmed in York, and I don't think too many Scottish people live in York, not since... Didn't William Wallace get to York? Did he get as far as York? Let me know in the chat. I think he really struggled. But he did make one good point that stayed at me, which is when he was talking about the NHS, and they were talking about people having to wait 2 years for an operation. It was way more than the number of people waiting in England. And he said, but in other things, like if you have someone coming in on an ambulance, they're getting seen straight away. where that isn't happening in England. In fact, 250 people a week are dying, waiting to be seen in A&E around the nation, around England. So yeah, that was a good point. But the NHS on both sides of the border, well, also in Wales as well, is in a dire state, and it's in a dire state because of the lack of funding from central government. And yeah, it needs to be sorted out. Ivan, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. I just had a panic attack inducing conversation with a friend. If a friend doesn't understand mental illness, what hope do I have? Oh, sorry to hear that, man. It's hard because, look, no one can have your experience. No one can know what it's like to have your brain. No one can understand what it's like to feel the way you feel. And one of the good things that's happened in recent years is we're talking about this more. The fact that everyone sees life differently. And I've been a dick to some of my friends in the past, and they've probably been a dick to me just because they're probably on the autism spectrum, probably got ADHD, probably, got some kind of mental health problems. And I've not known. But when I found out in the last few years, as more of my friends and family have been diagnosed, it's like, oh, okay, all right. So you're not just being a dick. Okay, I get it now. All right. And then you modify your behavior accordingly. And this is why it's so important to get a diagnosis. It's not just for you. Obviously, like people who have ADHD need that diagnosis for themselves, but they also need it for the people around them. So the people around them can be a little bit more forgiving of the way that they are. And the situations in which they feel uncomfortable or get into a panic or whatever, the more we know about the things that other people are going through, the better. Because otherwise, we just look at the world through our own eyes, through our own little, rose-tinted spectacles, whatever you want to call it, and it's that attitude of the driver who's like sitting in the middle lane, doing 85, thinking that they are the greatest driver in the world, and everyone going slower than them is an idiot, and everyone going faster than them is a maniac. And it's like, you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. You don't know what's going on in other people's cars. All right? Just be nice. Just be nice. So, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Ivan. Look, it's just one of those things. Like, if I think it helps to talk to people specifically about mental health problems, and again, like being gay or being left-handed or being trans. That everyone knows someone now. Everyone knows someone who's left-handed, so it's not seen as a stigma, but it used to be. In the 60s, they forced left-handed children to write with their right hands. And if they refused, they got their hand whacked by a cane. They got physically abused by the teacher. That was normal back then. It's not normal anymore. Obviously, everyone knows someone who's gay now. And it's very difficult to be prejudiced against gay people if friends of yours or family members are gay. Unless, you're a hateful bigot and you want to die alone, just being miserable on Twitter, kicking off at minorities. But yeah, I mean, it's I think it's got better in recent years. People's attitudes towards mental health. Don't forget, when I was in school, you could only have ADHD as a child. If you were an adult, you didn't have ADHD. Adults don't have ADHD. And I have a friend of mine who was on Ritalin in school for his ADHD. He was one of the first kids to be diagnosed with it back in the 80s, this is. And as soon as he turned 16, they stopped. They stopped his medication, which actually really helped him. And it wasn't until he was 39 years old that he got back on that medication, when the health providers realised that, a lot of people are struggling. And then on top of that, you've got things like Lyme's disease, you've got long COVID. And I go back to something that I do mention quite a lot on this channel. I hate the idea that people are just making up symptoms. People are just making it up. They're not really ill. They're not really sick. They're not really disabled. They're not really gay. They're not really trans. They haven't really been sexually abused. They're just making it up for the attention. And that really balls my piss. And that is where we have got to stop as a society and believe people when they say, I've got a problem. We need to believe people, because one of the other things that comes up as a knock-on effect of this is so many men do not seek the mental health help that they need, and physical physical health help that they require because of that thing of like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. Everyone else is wrong. It's a really unhealthy attitude to harbour. Okay, just jump into the chat. Mike's saying, Graham, I have suffered depression most of my 68 years. Only in the last decade, people finally learned to understand what it is. Fed up with that silly comment, cheer up. I would love to feel anything. Mike, my heart goes out to you, mate. I've got friends who have suffered depression and do suffer depression. And it's so difficult because everyone's unique. And well, I know you get annoyed about people saying cheer up. I can completely understand that. Like, go, gives a smile, cheer up, it'll never happen, or whatever people say, right? But the other issue is that if there's someone who thinks that there is a way of beating depression, because maybe it worked for someone they know, maybe it worked for them, and they start banging on at you to do that thing that worked, you might have already tried it. You might have gone, no, I tried that medication. No, I tried that therapy. I know I tried that. And it didn't work. And so when you see these memes that go out on Facebook where it goes, you don't have a mental health problem, you just need a nice walk in the fresh air, and you're like, oh, for God's sake. And also there's different forms of depression as well. There's depression that's not caused by any outside stimulus or stimuli, and then there is stuff that is like you're sad, and you're sad because something bad has happened in your life. And you need support to work through that grief or work through that feeling, work through those issues. And it's horses for courses, isn't it? It's different people need different support, and there is no one size fits all, especially when it comes to mental health. There's no one size fits all when it comes to physical health either. Something that works on one person might not work on another. One person might take a medication and it might work first time. It's brilliant, awesome, that worked. Another person might take it and suffer crippling side effects. I mean, this is one of the issues of modern medicine that we can't really do anything about, except we have to do it, try a range of different treatments and find the one that works for you. Find the one that works for your loved ones. And the people in your life. So, yeah, I think it's got a lot better in the last few years. Certainly since I was in school, it's got a lot better in schools as well. But even things like deaf awareness, and that's obviously something I'm particularly aware of because my partner's deaf. It's not there in the same level that it really should be. People think you're making it up. Which really winds me up. But yes, I just like to make my life more difficult for myself for no reason whatsoever. But this is why diversity, inclusivity, and equality training is so important. And the refuck people and the Tory people, they want to take that away. They're like, oh, diversity training, what's that about? Who needs inclusivity? And that's how you know that they're the baddies. As Jojo says, I'm 62. Can I ever get assessed for ADHD or autism? Thanks for the super chat, Jojo. Yes, you absolutely can. Go see your doctor. They'll give you a form to fill out. And there's two ways of doing it. You can do it through the NHS, which takes years, or you can go private, but through the NHS, which takes years. So, get started on that process as soon as you can, mate, because there is a backlog. And maybe when Labour get in, it'll speed up. But I've been waiting for my ADHD diagnosis now for over 8 months. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat there, mate. Dealing with mental illness must also require educating friends and family, etc. Understanding breeds empathy, both breed wisdom. To get any of them, one needs acceptance and relevant knowledge. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, mate. And educating people to understand that you're not swinging the lead, you're not being lazy, you're not being rude, you're not, there are reasons for this. And one of the things I always think of, like, is because of the way that my brain sort of works, I am a lot more forgiving for friends not calling me or, not turning up to things that they say they're going to turn up to. And other people go, why'd you put up with it? Why'd you put up with it? For years, people would say, that person, they never call you. Why'd you bother with them? And I'm like, oh, well, just people just have a different attitude to life. Those people who didn't call me back or always either didn't turn up or turned up late all the time to anything I organised. Nearly all of them have now been diagnosed with ADHD. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad that I kept you on as friends. I'm glad that I didn't lose my shit with you. But yeah, it's, and now myself and other people in my group of friends are a lot more understanding of why people are the way they are. ADHD is a difficulty in executive functioning, and it's very difficult to organize stuff. It's very difficult to be motivated to do things unless there's a big honking deadline, waiting at the end of the, at 9:30 every morning that you've got to have everything ready for. But yes, and we've got Anuska Cheremetev there in the chat. Thank you very much. I agree, Graham. I'm not making up my disabilities. Why would I make them up? If you think other people, they are so great. If other people think they are so great, you can want all my Pip and Esther, and you can take my disabilities as well. That is a really good point. Like, why would you make this, making it more difficult for yourself? Why would you make it up? Why would you voluntarily travel a 50-mile round trip to go and see Inside Out 2, the only subtitled version of it, if someone in your family wasn't deaf? Like, why would you do that? And it's like, oh no, you're just doing it for the attention. You're just doing it for the discounts. The discounts. Being disabled in this country is horrifically expensive. There is a disability tax that all disabled people had to pay. And it goes like this. You're deaf. Okay, cool. Right, so we've got these hearing aids from the NHS. Are they any good? No, not really. What do you mean? Well, you won't be able to do a job wearing them because your deafness is too profound. And so what it's going to do, it's just going to amplify the sounds that we already hear. So not only will it not work on the frequencies that you have a problem with specifically, that they need to be programmed in that way. The programmable ones are more expensive. You can't get them on the NHS. When I say more expensive, I'm talking about like £1,000 each, okay? You can't get them on the NHS. The NHS ones, because they are amplifying sound into your ear, they are doing even more damage to the delicate hairs in your ear as people are talking to you, as you're hearing music, as some dickheads driving down the street banging out house music from their car because they've got a stereo in their car. And they're very excited about the fact they have a stereo in their car because that's amazing. Because they didn't have that in the 50s. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. And good midsummer and happy summer solstice. It is midsummer. I suggest everyone go and watch that movie tonight. Oh, it's messed up. Anyway, yeah, Captain Bart Roberts, what discounts? Well, exactly. So let's get back. I know we're a little bit sidetracked there about talking about mental health, but it is an important issue. And I want everyone to know who's watching this and everyone who's part of our community on the channel here that, like, we on this channel, we are a safe place for people who are suffering right now with any kind of mental health problems, physical health problems, anyone who's gay, anyone who's lesbian, bisexual, trans. This is not a place for the gammony bigotry that you get on Facebook and Twitter. And if anyone puts any comments in the chat, our wonderful mods come down on them like a ton of bricks. And good, I don't want that in here. And people go, oh, but you live in an echo chamber. And I'm like, echo chamber? Should we have a look at the papers? Should we have a look at the papers for our echo chamber? Here you go. Here's the echo chamber in which we live. We live in a world where the Telegraph and the Mail and the Express and the Times and I mean, this is our echo chamber. Yeah, we don't get out of it. We don't see what people on the other side think about anything. Anyway, let's quickly do this before we get back into question time. There's a picture there of Olna Zelenska saying that on the front of the Telegraph there, saying she's close to psychological burnout, which I completely understand. That's Volodymyr Zelensky's wife. She's the first lady of Ukraine. And someone just said that they don't think it's a gotcha. I think they were talking about the Mail, but in the Telegraph here, Corbyn better than Johnson as PM. Yes. Sorry, I'm not. And I'm waiting. As many of the people who watch this channel know, I'm not the biggest fan of the former leader of Labour, but still better than Johnson. Tory betting scandal. What are the odds on that? Free probed as surge in election bets revealed. This is going to be an interesting one. And then there's a thing about Gary Lineker. Okay. And cystic fibrosis suffers to get miracle drugs after 5-year express fight. What? What did the Express do? What did the Literally, I told you, I've had to travel to Crook, which is about 30 minutes away from where I am, to go and get medication for a friend of mine who suffers from cystic fibrosis, who lives in Derby. And I've had to make 2 trips because we couldn't fulfill the whole prescription on the 1 trip. And now we're mailing them to her. So she's got a month buffer zone before she has to scramble to try and find more cystic fibrosis drugs. I mean, this is wonderful if that particular drug is now available to people with cystic fibrosis. I know that the drug that my friend takes has transformed her life, like taken her from sort of 20% lung. It's not capacity, there's a word for it, like functioning, to about 80%. That's what this new drug can do. It is phenomenal. For the people it works for. Some people it doesn't work for. New blow for PM as former Tory minister says he will not vote Labour. As the front cover of the Guardian. This is talking about Chris Skidmore, former environmental czar or something. I don't know what he was, but he's saying he's going to vote for Labour. Okay then. Labour will delay VAT on private school fees until at least 2025. That's the front cover of the Times. So next year then, yeah. That's not much of a delay. So September next year. Okay. And then we've got the wonderful Donald Sutherland there on the front cover of the Times as well, who passed away at the age of 88. Absolute awesome actor. Let me know in the chat your favourite role that Donald Sutherland played. I'm particularly partial to Don't Look Now and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but your opinions may differ. Got to do that. Anyway, marriages surge after COVID put love on hold. More people get married. And Sunak vows to boot out Tories over poll betting. That was on Question Time last night. Betting fast derails Tory campaign amid fears that more names will emerge. I really hope so. Corbyn would have been a better PM than Boris, Keir claims. Now, they've used the word Keir there, name Keir, because obviously Starmer wouldn't really fit in the text, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that was just too many letters. So they made it Keir instead. That's what I think. Because Starmer's got an M in it, which is always difficult in print. Corbyn would have been better PM than Boris. Starmer's extraordinary answer in grilling by voters. Okay. All right, mate. All bets are off on trusting Tories. This is to do with the MASH. Yeah, he was Donald Sutherland was fantastic in MASH, the movie that predated the TV show. Flurry of bets on July election placed in run up to Sunak's announcements. This is the story that the Tories were all betting on the fact there'll be an election, almost as though they had some kind of insider knowledge. Yeah. Presidents know the Hunger Games are, thanks to that, One Angry Pagan and Oddball, MASH, Don't Look Now, Clute, that's a very good movie. Oddball in Kelly's Heroes, Kelly's Heroes of MASH and MASH. He was hippie tank commander from Kelly's Heroes. It's very good. I think I might try, if I've got time, I might try and have a little bit of a Donald Sutherland rewatch of some of his old shows over the weekend in memory of the great actor. Anyway, I was talking about Question Time last night, and it's now 10 o'clock, so we're in extra time. We're in injury time on Morning Brew. But we got to Keir Starmer. And after the leader of the SNP, John Swinney, and he was all right, he was grilled over Corbyn, like a lot, like the first 17 questions all seemed to be about Corbyn and this, and you supported Corbyn, how can we trust you now? You supported Corbyn, yeah, because he was the leader of my party. I wanted my friends to be elected as MPs because I thought they'd do a good job of it. I didn't think we would win because the opinion polls told them flat out that they weren't going to win. Anyway, but then came on Sunak, and Sunak coming on Question Time last night was just like, he's like a rabbit in headlights for the whole thing. He got really touchy with the audience. He was like, I'm not going to apologise. He kept on saying, I'm not going to apologise. I will not It was almost, I will not take lectures from the likes of you plebs. It just really got this kind of hoity-toity upper class snarl against the what he sees obviously as the plebs who didn't earn £120 million last year doing nothing other than just, already being rich. It's hard work when you're already rich to make more money. All you have to do is sit there and get richer off the interest or the dividends on your shares. Interest on your bank accounts, dividends on your shares. Happy days. That's working. I worked hard for my money. Anyway, so at the end of the show, someone asked him about leaving the European Court of Human Rights. And he said, well, yes, I will leave it if they don't let us ship people off to Rwanda. He told a horrific lie about 50 countries or some ridiculous number of countries around Europe who completely agree that sending people to Rwanda is the best thing to do. No. What they say is if we can get them processed in another country because no one wants to deal with it because it costs a lot of money. And we did have a system where it that kind of worked with the Dublin agreements where we could send people back to France. It doesn't necessarily mean they got their visas processed over there, but it would be a good idea if we set something up so people could get a refugee visa in Calais or anywhere really, as long as they, give in their biometric data. So if they do come over here after we've said no, we can instantly deport them. No court case needed. We've said no. We've already said no, Boris. Go away. Go back to your forever home of America, where you were born. Tetchy, says Steve's Retro Loft. Everyone was quoting Red Dwarf, weren't they, that episode? Was it the one with quarantine? It was quarantine, wasn't it, where they were all in quarantine? He's like, why, when you blow your nose, why do you look into the handkerchief? What are you expecting to see in there? Michael Warner, shame. Anyway, so yeah, Sunak, he didn't do very well with the audience, and then this question came up about the European Court of Human Rights, and as he explained that he wanted to leave it, someone in the audience pointed out that the only countries that aren't part of the European Court or Convention of Human Rights on Human Rights is Russia and Belarus. And then Sunak wibbled on a bit more, and then people were just shouting shame at him. He sort of finished off his like a little bit of a da, 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 and there was a silence, no applause, and then someone shouted shame, and then other people in the audience like shame, and it was like the woman ringing the bell in Game of Thrones. Shame. Anyway, super chat from One Angry Pagan. Thank you very much. Starmer, Giles, Sunak, Crichton, Tetchy. Indeed. And Gillian Hope, thank you very much for the £4 super chat. That's really kind. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up in a moment, but before I do, a couple of housekeeping announcements. First of all is that we are launching a bot account. Yes, a bot. You heard that right. We're launching a bot account. I don't know why my I thought that I had my my everything set up nicely. Oh, there it is. For my little animation to come up. So this is a website that me and my friend Paul Somerville have put together. And what we're going to be doing is, since I spoke to the Electoral Commission via Twitter this week, and they're like, oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, bots are fine. We've got no rules about social media. And I'm like, sorry, what? Say that again. You got no rules about social media. Yeah, you can do what you like. So there's all kinds of rules about campaigning in a local area. Like you're not allowed to put your adverts up on lampposts, and you're not allowed to put unsolicited stuff through people's mail, and you know, there's quite a lot of rules that you got to abide by. Yeah. But you can do anything you like on the internet. Yeah, the internet's quite new, you know. It's only been around for 30 years, really, if you think about it. I mean, most people didn't get their first email addresses till about 25 years ago. So really, if you think about it, there's no excuse for the fact that the British government and the Electoral Commission haven't changed the law so that bot farms are banned. And this fake outrage mining is banned. Fake accounts And people go, how do you do that? How are you going to stop a bot farm in Russia? You don't have to stop the bot farms. You have to stop the social media platforms from allowing bots to happen. We have AI now. You know, when you click on I'm not a robot, you know, the capture thing, but I think it's capture 4 we're up to now. That just bases it on, like, what would a robot do? If it looks at your mouse movements and the pages that you've been on before and your cache and everything to see if you look like a normal person who just, you know, surfing the internet. So they know who the bot accounts are. Elon Musk made a big thing about bots. He said, oh, Twitter's not worth that much. Most of the accounts are bots. And I'm going to get rid of them. Get rid of them, are you? Yeah, I've got 3 words for you, Elon. Nudes in bio. There you go. Go take those, shut them up your ass, and fire yourself into the sun on one of your shitty rockets that keep exploding. Because, like, nearly everything that you propose, it's just a big con. It's all just Homer Simpson being allowed to design a car. Anyway, so we've set up endthetories.com. We'll be changing the name after the election, obviously, because I think the Tories are going to get ended. But we'll be changing it to stopthebots.uk. In fact, if you type in stopthebots.uk right now, it will take you to this website. What we need to do is raise about $5,000 in order to start a bot farm, and it requires us to buy a bunch of mobile phones and sync them all up and make sure that they're putting out our content. So if people make memes, if people make, you know, we've got our own memes that we've made, but people making short videos, TikToks, things like that, we can pick them up and amplify them. So if Led by Donkeys makes a video of, you know, Farage on the beach sort of thing, we can make sure that that video goes out to, for instance, people on Facebook who are part of a local group in an area where we really want Farage not to win, like Clacton. We can make sure that those local groups see that video, or at least it's posted by various bot accounts on their thing as well. And also, using AI, you can have conversations with people. So they can you can say, right, this is the attitude that I want, this is the mood that I want, these are the facts that I want you to bring to the table, and they will automate conversations with people on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Anyway, you can leave a comment on here, even on YouTube. I think YouTube's a bit more difficult to get around the bot censoring, but still, it can be done. And it is being done to devastating effect. And we saw that in the 2016 referendum. We saw that in Trump winning in 2016 as well. And yeah, as I say in the video launching this, the old adage is true. You know, a lie's got halfway around the world before the truth has got its trousers on. And it's time for us to start fighting back, fire with fire. And I know it's morally wrong. I don't want to have to do it. I think it should be absolutely illegal, but it isn't. And the other side are exploiting it, and our side are not, because we're the good guys. And you know what? I'm happy to fight dirty if that's what it takes. You know, if other people want to be all honourable and, you know, do things by the book, that's fine, right? But that's not me. And it's one of the reasons why I changed the name of this channel. Really, because I didn't want this to be an official Labour Party line of like, fuck 'em. David Downey, thank you very much. Have you ever thought of getting charitable status? We looked into it when we were campaigning against Brexit to see if we could get charitable status, because obviously that allows us to open up certain revenue streams, and obviously it's a bit more trustworthy when someone's an actual registered charity. But it is a bit of a ball ache to do. I'm thinking maybe after the election, it might be worth looking into on how we could actually register with the Charities Commission, because it really annoys me that the $1 billion industry, or £1 billion industry that is private schools, a lot of them are charities. Nearly all of them are charities, actually. And these groups, these think tanks in Tufton Street at charities as well. I'm like, what? Hey, how does that happen? So yeah, good idea. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much. I even got Alistair Campbell to talk about badges. Good job, my friend. Politics Social. Number 3, thank you very much. I just sent you £60 for about End the Toys. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Well, the original plan was to be putting bot stuff out against the Tories, but because Reform have just gone nuts for their their bot farms and things. There's been 2 news reports. There was one in the BBC and one on ITV saying they're using bot farms. Like, it's really clear they're using bot farms and AI to actually have conversations with people. They think they're talking to a real person, but they're not. They're talking to AI. And it's like, yeah, I think Nigel Farage has got all the right answers. And yeah, we need to fight back against it. And this is the way we do it. And something else I like to add as well. I want this to be illegal. And whereas the right wing will be like, no, this is fine. While they're doing it, if the left start doing it as well, you can be pretty sure it will become illegal very quickly. Don't forget, drugs became illegal because plebs started taking them. The upper class had no problem with getting heroin in the 1890s. You know, the officers go on the front in the war could get a heroin kit from like Harrods in a leather pack with a tourniquet in it and a hypodermic needle, you know, for shooting up before going over the top. It was fine when the rich did it, but when everyone else started doing it, oh, we have to make this illegal now. There's a lot of examples of that. A lot of examples. Right. And so that's endthetories.com. So I'll just get rid of that. Now, okay, I've got something else to talk about before we go. I know I've gone over time massively again. Election day, election night. We are having a party in London. Loads of the people that you love watching on here, on not just Labour Social, but Politics Social, not just Politics Social. I need like a jar, don't I? And every time I dead name my own channel, I've got to put money in the jar. But people that you watch on TV, people that you follow on Twitter, who are big into ending the Tories, seeing the Tories off, pushing the Tories, they're going to be there. So if you would like to come along, tickets are super limited. We've got only 300, I think, left. It's a small venue. What we're going to do, we're having an election night party. We're going to have a big screen. We're going to have the exit polls come on. We're going to have a DJ. There's 2 bars going to be there. It's going to be open till 3 in the morning. As the results come in, we're all going to be drinking and cheering. There's a green room next door where I'm going to be doing an overnight stream. So if you want to watch on the channel, you can. It's completely free. Don't worry about it. But if you do want to go to the party, it's 15 quid a ticket. That's just to cover the venue costs. Sorry, it's London. What can I do? Yeah, I will be giving the link to this to all of my patrons and everyone who's a YouTube member of this channel. So if you are a patron or a YouTube member, you'll be able to get the link for this. And I think that Aid Thompson's going to be doing this as well, and a few other Super Tansy's going to be doing it as well today. So yeah, if you want to come and see us all on election night, get drunk with us on election night, it's going to be epic. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, I mean, for us people who are into politics, this is going to be the biggest night. Possibly, when it comes to politics, this could be the biggest night of our lives. That's all I'm saying. Because, like, the Tory party could be literally annihilated. I don't think it will be. I think they'll probably, eke through with like 100 MPs. But, God, it'd be glorious to see the likes of Suella Braverman and Kemi Badenoch and Rishi Sunak losing their seats. So if you want to come along to that and you're not yet a member of this channel or a patron of this channel, please head over to patreon.com/politics social, or just click on the join button, which should be under here somewhere, and you'll get that link later this morning. Okay, right, so there you go. I've done my little presenting thing. Also, before I go, one more thing. Just one more. I'm like Columbo here, aren't I? Just one more thing. Me and Ben Chambers of 16 Million Rising fame are going to be flyering in Rishi Sunak's constituency of Richmond and Northallerton next week on Thursday next week. Please come along if you can to help us fly out as many homes as possible. If you can make that, please either get in touch with me via the Discord server if you are a member of our Discord community, or go to grahamdavidhughes.com and there is a contact form at the bottom of my website and you can send me an email via that. Whew, is that everything? Gotta go now. Right, I'll be back at 1 o'clock for the agenda with Phil Morehouse, and it's great to see him back on his feet. He's not been well. He's not been well. So yeah, we'll be taking it easy, kicking back, and just talking about some of the funnier things that happened this week with the Tories, because they are on a road to nowhere. Quite deservedly. Quite deservedly. Aid's got a meet up on the 5th. Captain Bob Roberts. That's pretty cool. Maybe I'll do that as well. come meet up on the 5th. To people who don't, I know people on this channel, probably some of them are quite introverted. So maybe meet up on the 5th. We'll meet up for lunch or something. I'll be in London, so any Londoners, anyone near London, we could definitely do that. We'll find a pub or something for the morning after the night before. I might have a bit of a hangover. I'm warning you now. Oh, by the way, the party finishes at 3. But I'll be continuing the stream. I'm staying nearby. There'll be half an hour of me getting there and setting up and everything, and then the stream will continue as the results come in. I'm planning on streaming right through the night and into the morning until all of the results are in. Okay, right. Thank you very much. And big shout out to Sfax and Joe Lefty there. Big shout out to Alex Green for getting to level 1. And Graham, the Patreon link does not work, says Marshall. Oh, shit. Okay, I will fix that. In a moment. But yeah, until then, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for the super chat. Give us a like on the way out. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.